All right, there it is. First piece of Mets news this year for the offseason. The New York Mets are hiring Carlos Mendoza as their new manager. So we're going to break everything down. We're going to talk to everybody in the chat as we usually do for breaking news. Let's go, folks. Let's go. Oh. Can the intro play? Does the intro just not want to play? Okay, we back? We back, guys? Let me know if we're back here. Just want to know. What just happened? All right. Well, anyways, I guess we'll just start over for a second. Okay. All right. We're back. All right. I don't know what the hell just happened, but we're just going to go with it. All right. So, Carlos Mendoza has been hired as the Mets' new manager. There's your first piece of breaking news. I'm going to discuss everything about this with you guys in the chat as per usual for breaking news. For those of you who are new, make sure to hit the like button on the channel. Make sure to hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. Let's roll the intro. Let me try this again, and let's see if this actually works. All right, I have no idea what's going on here. Give me 1 second, guys. Hold on. I have no idea what's going on with this stream right now, but Let me know if you guys hear me properly. I don't know if you do, but Jesus fucking Christ. Really? Okay. They need a producer. No, I just need my thing to respond. Hold on. It sounds all good? Okay. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on here, but whatever. Anyway, so the Mets are hiring Carlos Mendoza as their new manager, and I know that there's an elephant in the room right now that a lot of Mets fans are talking about, maybe are upset about. That being obviously Craig Counsell, who we just got word is going to be going to the Cubs out of just complete surprise. Nobody really expected that. But overall, I think, from in my opinion, I think the Mets nailed this hire. I think this was a really good hire by the Mets to get somebody who was a bench coach, who had experience in New York, who has experienced the New York media, who obviously has a good reputation behind Aaron Boone, who, even though he does have a lot of controversy behind him with a lot of Yankee fans, of some guys who like him and sometimes who don't, I think that Aaron Boone is a solid manager. I think that Brian Cashman is more of the problem there. But, you know, when you talk about what you're looking at with the Mets right now, you know, the best managers are usually bench coaches. And that's something that has really been established recently, of the guys who get developed and, you know, the guys who have experience coaching make good managers at the end of the day. Craig Counsell, I see it. If they got him, would have been fine. Would have been like, okay, he's got connections with Stearns. That's fine, whatever. But with Carlos Mendoza here, he has never managed before. We don't know what his managing style is going to be, but I think that it's a very solid move, because mainly, and not a lot of people are going to like this, but the fact that you look at managers today, the managerial position doesn't matter as much as you think it does. They need to be in tune with the front office. That's what you're looking for in a manager these days. I wouldn't say they're a full-on puppet, but they're somewhat of a puppet to the general manager, the president of baseball operations, and that's something that I feel like that was what David Stearns wanted to bring in here. And I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it. I like the hire. I think it is a good hire. I think it can turn out to be very good for the Mets. And listen, I am far from a positive Mets fan. We already know this. I'm very pessimistic. I don't trust anyone, but I do think that this was a very good hire by the Mets, and I will stand by that. It's hard to stand by a Mets manager, because we've gone through a lot of them recently, and it's kind of hard to realize if something is going to be good. But I think that Carlos Mendoza is actually a really good hire. So if you're upset about Counsell, I understand. I get it. He is one of the best managers in baseball, but not everyone is going to like the manager hire. I mean, there's probably some people that didn't like the idea of Counsell either. Counsell's a name, right? That's a big name, right? And that's how you're looking at it right now. It's because Craig Counsell, yes, he has experience. He's been managing since 2015, but when you look at somebody like Carlos Mendoza, who has been in the Yankees organization for about 15 years, he's been their bench coach for the last 4 seasons. He's 43 years old. He's young. He's adaptable. We'll see what he's able to do. I'm not going to say like, oh, this guy is going to be a great manager. He's going to lead us to the World Series. The deal is that it doesn't matter what the manager is. It matters if the roster is actually good. Dave Roberts, we have said this over and over again. He is not a good manager. Dave Roberts is not a good manager, but the team's in the playoffs every single year. The Braves, Brian Snitker, not a great manager. The team's in the playoffs every single year. Dusty Baker, he's an old-fashioned manager. I've never thought Dusty Baker was a fantastic manager. They're in the playoffs every single year. Obviously, he's retiring. Different story, of course. Aaron Boone, not the best manager, not the worst manager. The Yankees are in the playoffs every year. This year, not. But what I'm trying to say here is the Mets don't need a big name. They don't need somebody like, someone who's just going to blow them out of the water. The number one choice, just to get a name, I am perfectly fine with this hire. This is fine as long as he's in sync with the front office. And that's something that we've really been lacking recently. It's not a good manager. It's not a good general manager. It's the fact that the in-house, the people in-house, the front office, is the fact that they just have not been able to be in sync whatsoever, and it has cost the Mets to plummet recently. And that's the reason why I am happy that Stearns brought in his own guy. They tried with Callaway and Rojas, and how did that work out? Well, Callaway was a pitching coach. He had no experience being whatsoever of any coach possibility. And Rojas was a quality control manager. So, I mean, that wasn't going to do anything. The manager will be on a leash because Citi Field has the news. Listen, it's not a bad hire, guys. Listen, if you're upset about the manager hiring, it's fine. But what I can tell you right now is that if the Mets were to go with less of experience, they have to aim younger. They have to aim with a bench coach, somebody who has coached for a while, someone who's been in an organization. And the fact that he has been in the public eye of New York media, he has been here for New York. He's been in New York for 15 years with the Yankees through their best and their worst. He is going to be able to address that media a lot better. And he'd be able to deal with this type of, ridicule that New York media continues to go with. That's something that is extremely, extremely important with managers, because like I've said before, the manager doesn't matter unless the roster stinks or the roster is bad. The Mets are trying to build a good roster. They're trying to compete, as much as we know. So I don't think it's a bad hire. I think it's a lot better of a hire than I kind of expect. I'm just glad they didn't go after just like that big name. Hope Stearns and Mendoza bring in a veteran bench coach. It's possible that happens. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, Craig Counsell to the Cubs. That was actually a lot more of a surprise than I expected. I mean, I did not expect the Cubs to just swoop in like that. That's a division rival of the Brewers. So that was not something that I really thought was going to happen. A lot of people thought the Astros for a second when it was reported out that Counsell is not going to be managing the Brewers or the Mets. A lot of people thought it was the Astros, obviously with Dusty Baker retiring, and that it didn't end up happening. It was the Cubs, which was a big surprise, but good for the Cubs. The manager doesn't do as much as you think he does. That's what I'm saying. It used to mean something. For those of you in here, make sure to like on the stream if you have not already. Subscribe if you are new for news throughout the entire offseason for the Mets, because this is going to be a crazy one with David Stearns at the helm now. As we look at it, this news dropped while I was editing the episode 31 of our podcast. So it's possible that comes out on a little bit of a delay, maybe later tomorrow. I don't know. Because obviously I'm going to be live here for quite a bit. I might have one of my co-hosts come on here in about a half hour. But other than that, for those of you in here, let me know what you think about the new hire. Carlos Mendoza is going to be the Mets' new manager, their 24th manager in franchise history. All right. I'm just making sure if there's any other updates on Twitter about anything, because we all know how quick this thing goes. Oh, and we have a little bit more of news. Hold up. First of all, Craig Counsell's deal with the Cubs is going to be the largest managerial salary in history by average salary. Obviously expected. He was looking to set that common ground there. But Adam Ottavino is not picking up his player option for 2024. So he is now a free agent. Ottavino is out of here. I am glad that he is not back. Thank you. Too old. Let's go. Yeah, I don't understand why they brought him back anyway. I mean, we've talked about this already. But yeah, he's going on the market. So there's a little strand of news coming off of their new manager hire. So now the Mets need to elect to go younger. That's a surprise. That's actually a surprise with Ottavino because I did not expect. I expected him to stay, but I mean he's from New York, so I mean that's weird. Maybe he thinks he can get a little bit more on the market, but I mean he's 37 years old, going on 38. Really expect much. That might be bigger news than the manager hire. Yeah, possibility. Again, this is what I mean. Like the manager doesn't matter, folks. It doesn't matter. They're just puppets for the GM. It's not that big of a deal. We all know that Buck Showalter was not going to be a manager that we expected to just have like that, you know. We didn't expect him. He's an old-fashioned manager. He was obviously going to clash with somebody, and we've had stories come out about that before. So, I mean, there you go. I'm interested to see what this contract is with Console because there's obviously been a lot of talk of him wanting to be the highest paid manager and try to set more of a standard for managers. So, you know, that's good. I like that. Nice. Console goes in division. That's I'm not mad. I mean, that's the thing. Like I'm not mad at all. I think that Console or Mendoza, both great hires. Not that big of a deal, folks. Not that big of a deal. Ooh. So yeah, podcast will most likely be out. Maybe it might be out tomorrow, but there is a strong possibility that it's out on Wednesday. So make sure to look out for that. It's not going to be as updated as much. Obviously, just ignore the first story. First story, obviously talking about four candidates, the four candidates that were left, and we talked about that. So ignore that, but obviously everything else is there. There's some fun stuff that we did on the podcast this week. I was editing it when they announced this, so I'm going live for it. So, like I said, we'll be live for all breaking news when the Mets sign someone, when the Mets kill someone, whatever. I love David Ross. Yeah, I don't know. Did they fire David Ross or did they just let him go? Like what happened there? Or did they? Because I don't remember what happened. Did the Cubs have an opening? I don't know. Good for Console. I don't know. Good for him. Okay. Well, how do you feel if you're a Brewers fan? That's actually never mind Mets fans. How do you feel if you're a Brewers fan? You just lost one of the best managers in the game to a division rival. That's a big blow. That is a big blow. Ross as a bench coach. Maybe 5-year contract worth more than $40 million is what Craig Counsell is getting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that makes sense. I'm not upset. Brewers fans feel like a bridesmaid, never the bride. Yeah. Brewers lost one of their top pitchers for a year as well. It's rough. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they also trade Burns. That might suck, man. That might suck. We'll see what happens. Obviously, offseason just started. Listen, I like the hire. I'm sure I'm sure tons of people will overreact, but I'm fine with it. I'm good with it. Let me know what you guys think. We have a poll going on in the chat right now of what you guys think of this hire. Looks like most of you are 50-50 and like it. That's good. Again, this hire doesn't mean much. It does not mean as much as you think it does. So for those of you panicking about it, it's not that big of a deal. Need a manager willing to play the rookies? Absolutely. Definitely. See what happens. Checking to make sure if I missed anything. Any news of the GM? Well, it looks like the latest on the GM is that the Mets aren't looking to hire. They aren't looking to rush a hire just yet. I mean, I've heard some stuff about James Click, obviously. I've heard some stuff about Heim Bloom, but it's nothing really much of substance. Was Joe Madden even on the market? Yeah, he was definitely on the market, but he wasn't the guy to hire. So, I mean, I was fine with it. We need somebody that's going to be here long term, and we're hoping that Carlos Mendoza is that guy. He was there long term with the Yankees for a long time. Again, and I like somebody who has that New York experience. I think that's extremely important. Carlos Mendoza. I'm just waiting to see if my co-host wants to come in here. Okay. Let me just... Okay. Okay, so for those of you who missed it, the top story, obviously, the Mets hiring Carlos Mendoza as their new manager. 43 years old. He served as the Yankees bench coach for the last 4 seasons. He's been with the Yankees for the last 15 years. And also, for those of you who missed it, as we called it out as well, Adam Ottavino is opting out of his contract. It was a $6.5 million player option for 2024. He opted out of it. He is now a free agent, which I am happy with as well. So 2 pieces of news that I am currently happy with, in my opinion. Mets bullpen needs to get younger. Ottavino, obviously, like in every high leverage situation, he was just not good whatsoever. That's what happens with veteran relievers. You got to take 1 year and run. And for some reason, you know, and for some reason, what's it called? I mean, they just brought it back. They just brought him back on a 2-year deal, which just made absolutely no sense. John Heyman just tweeted out that the Mets did make a serious run at Consul, so I'm going to guess that he was probably their first choice, obviously. I mean, that was pretty much the report, but I think there was pretty good... You know. Okay. Making sure we're missing stuff. Okay. All right. All right. So the Brewers offered Craig Consul in the neighborhood of $5.5 million per year. Everyone expected the Mets to throw $7 per million per year. No one expected the Cubs to do so. So the Mets offered, I guess, $7 million a year to Craig Consul. Brewers offered $5.5 million, and then the Cubs just swooped in and given him $8 million a year. So yeah, again, I could care less at this point. I think they did a good job here. I think this was a good hire. Not really much to say here, other than not bad. I think they nailed it. But only time will tell, I guess. Only time will tell. For those of you in here, make sure to hit the like button. Subscribe if you are new. We have a new podcast coming out this week on the news latest. The first topic that we discuss is obviously going to be a little bit less relevant, but we did talk a little bit more about some stuff about Consul and the possible rumors about his contract and stuff like that. So that was some interesting stuff that we talked about. Some other stuff. Let's see. Pete Alonso's upcoming free agency. Scott Boras did talk a little bit about that. What else? Jet Williams, his future with the team. See what happens with him this year. Tommy Pham's comments on the Mets. And then we had a few fun other stuff that we did on the podcast. So make sure to tune into that. It'll most likely be out tomorrow, but don't be surprised if it's out on Wednesday. This news kind of delayed it a little bit. And it's a long going process to edit these things every single week. So kind of just messed with the timeline a little bit, but it's obvious, had to go live for the breaking news. I don't know if my co-host is going to be joining us. I'll give it about 5 more minutes. If not, then I'll probably hop off here and sell it short. But yeah, Craig Counsell gets swooped in by the Cubs. The Mets have hired Carlos Mendoza as their brand new manager, the 24th in Mets franchise history. Thanks for going live. Love your channel. Never miss a show. Thank you very much. Okay. Just making sure I haven't missing anything. All right. So I believe my co-host should be here at any point. Okay. So for those of you who are new, make sure to hit the like button if you have not already. Subscribe if you are new. New podcasts come out every single week. We've got some clips that come out every week of that podcast. And then obviously we go live. So what's next now? Well, offseason begins. The Mets have a lot of things to address. We did a video about this last week, actually, of our checklist of things that the Mets need to address throughout the entire offseason to build a contender and make the team a lot better than it was this year. So make sure to go check that out if you have not already. Video is doing pretty well, so thank you guys for that. And yeah. Now the Mets have a lot of things to address. They got the winter meetings coming up. And that's when a majority of the signings obviously happen. But there's a few things that can happen before. The stove can stay hot. The stove can get cold. We're all here for the ride, obviously. This is one of the most exciting parts of the offseason where we just get into the cusp of everything. Lots of things to talk about, obviously, with the Mets. Team, obviously, in a very pivotal spot. And we'll see what happens. Where do you guys go from here? Where would you guys say the Mets should turn to? What should the Mets do next? Who did Frank want as manager and as GM? I think he was good with either Counsell or Mendoza. Yeah, I mean, we talk about the the final few candidates on the next episode. I won't go into it completely. Um, but we've talked about this before. I mean, the manager hire, it doesn't matter as much unless the roster is good. And that's, that's what you're looking at. You want the roster to be good, and you just want the manager to be in sync with the front office. And that's literally the main goal here. Dude. For those of you in here, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe. As per usual, for those of you just joining us, the Mets have hired Carlos Mendoza as their brand new manager, the 24th manager in Mets franchise history. Let's hope that he is the 24th manager for a long, long time, because I'm tired of doing this every single goddamn year. The Mendoza line coming to Flushing. Wonderful. No, I think this will be fine. And it has nothing to do with Manny Mendoza. So he's not going to be batting 200. Don't worry. He will not take a single plate appearance. I don't think so, unless we have a massive amount of injuries and everybody in the organization gets shot. All right, so update on the poll here. It looks like pretty much half and half like it, 50-50. You got 10% that don't like it. I'll keep the poll up for the rest of the stream, obviously. Let us know what you guys think of the hire, Carlos Mendoza as the Mets' new manager. Once the big fish fall, the rest of the market gets taken up shortly after. Yeah, of course. I hope he's able to bring Acuna in here. The next choice was Carlos Mendoza. It's a pretty big drop off. I was who was yeah. I think it's a good hire. I think the Mets nailed it. I again, manager, I've said it multiple times in this live stream. The manager doesn't matter as much as you think it does. As long as he's in sync with the front office, it's all good. Long as he's in sync. Him being bilingual is also a big plus, of course. That as well. Puppet City, exactly. That's what they want. I mean, that if he's in cahoots with the The front office, I'm all good with it. I want these guys in sync. That's literally it. I don't care who it is, but if these guys are on the same page, that's the best winning formula for the Mets right now, because that's literally all we have seen. Craig Counsell would have been fine with that too. Again, it's a name. He's a name, you know? He's just the big name. Not that big of a deal to me. I just want to see who they add to this team to help the team actually win. That's all I really care about. Here's my co-host. There he is. There you are. What's up?
What's going on, guys? Another live from work.
All right. Well, what do you think? That's hired Mendoza. This is a game changer. So devastating. Do you want to tell Mets fans to not hit the panic button here? What do you want to say?
I mean, like I said in the pod a few weeks ago, I didn't give a shit who the manager was per se. Again, I'm kind of like your statement: build a roster good enough for the manager not to mean shit. So, if this is the guy that Epler wants, wow, Stearns wants. God, it's gonna feel weird saying that.
Wow.
What Stearns wants, and this is the guy he can relate to. And I can already hear the people, oh, he's a puppet. Yeah, most managers are. And ones you don't, oh, Buck's gone. You see how he is. And would you like a guy? What if Counsell would have been the sure thing? Because you knew what you were getting. Yeah. Will this guy be another Luis Rojas and Mickey Callaway? Sure, he could be. He could be Astros AJ Hinch. We don't know what the hell this guy is, and if he can relate to players and work well with the front office, that's all I really give a shit about. And again, it's on Stearns to build a good enough roster where the biggest excuse is not the manager. It's if you build a roster. Again, Dave Roberts is not a good manager. He's in the playoffs every year because of the roster he's given. So at this point, again, if this is who Stearns likes, he's 43, so he's young enough. And if this roster is built to sustain enough success, he could be here 10 years and be fine. So again, yeah, would I have preferred Counsell? Sure. Again, because you know what you were getting, and you guy who's been behind the chair. But like I said in podcasts before, I didn't really care who was behind the bench. I just wanted this to be over with so we can get back to the actual fun stuff that is player transactions and stuff like that. We'll see who else is going to put on the staff. Hopefully, we see some interesting hires that can fix whatever side of the ball. Obviously, we're going to need a new hitting coach because it looks like Chavez might be gone. The third and first base coach of Cora and Kirby or contracts are gone anyway. So, and Hefner is to be determined if he's even going to be here. So, again, just happy this headache's over with, and I'm tired of talking about this shit. So, now free agency's open, we can get to that.
Yeah. Is Davey Johnson still alive? Davey Johnson is actually in contention to be possibly put in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the Cubs sniped Counsell out of nowhere. I don't know where the hell that came from, but I mean, sure.
Yeah, I didn't know.
How do you feel if you're a Brewers fan? That's the thing. Like, how do you feel if you're a Brewers fan? That's a loss. That's a big loss.
That's a big loss, in the fact that you gave it to a division rival. Like, if he would have went to the Mets, okay, it's out of division. He's in the East Coast. Midwest people don't care about the East Coast anyway. The fact that he's in division to a team that was competing with the Brewers all year last year, before their collapse in September, we didn't see this shit coming. Where the hell did this come from? Dave Ross, I don't think Dave Ross was a good manager. David Ross was a great manager, but like he got the team turned around to be at least a competitive team to just be like, all right, now you're gone, and a crazy contract again. Shocker, he went with the most money. Oh my God, color me shocked. $8 million a year. Holy shit. For a puppet. I mean, like that is,
$8 million puppet, man.
$8 million. Counsell, I think, is better than a cup, but for a position that you can easily just put somebody there, I mean, that's Jesus. Good for again. He wanted to reset the manager market. Thank God the Mets got theirs done before I guess those details came out. Jesus, $8 million for the top option, but
nah, you're just cheap. Fuck you.
Spend on actual things. I don't give a shit about a manager. I mean, I guess it's a
We're
little
just
bit of a
cheap,
blind.
man. The Mets are cheap. We were
Poverty.
hosed.
We were hosed. We're supposed to spend all this money, Steve. It's bullshit. But I guess like there's like kind of a silver lining for my dad. He knows Carlos Mendoza because he grew up. He played in the Trenton Thunder system, and he knows who he is. So, I mean, he hasn't seen him in like 20 years. Obviously, I think he was like 96 to 97. I think he was Trenton Thunder. So,
Listen,
I mean,
we also put in this factor again, and what I'm saying is, Mendoza has the experience of what it is like to be in New York. Council doesn't. I think that, Marcotte, obviously, no spotlight on him whatsoever. Nobody gives a shit, not even the owner. Andy Green, he's flipped back and forth. I think that Mendoza was a safe hire. I think it was one of the best. Obviously, Consul has a little bit more of that continuity with Stearns because they've been together for like 8 years together in Milwaukee. But for what this team needs, we already talked about, and Stearns even said it in his even in his press conference. He said, I'm not just going to copy other things from other teams and steal other things from other teams. He said, we're going to build our own system of how we win things here. And he went with his own hire with Carlos Mendoza. They obviously liked him a lot. He's bilingual for what we have seen. Yeah, I think it's a good hire. Again, I'm far from a positive Mets fan, so when I say it's a good hire, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but I think they did a good job here. They didn't get a just the big name to get the big name. And this is what they came up with Carlos Mendoza, who was the bench coach for the Yankees in the last 4 seasons. He's been with the Yankees for the last 15 years. He's 43 years old. He's close to the age of the veteran players. He can relate to them a lot better than Buck Showalter can. Hopefully we'll see how he utilizes the young guys and everything like that. But the offseason just began. I mean, this is not a detriment. This is not a big boost whatsoever. It's your manager. It's the guy that sits in the dugout and maybe talks to the players a few times. Like that's pretty much it. As long as he's in sync with the front office, I really don't care. But yeah, Consul obviously being the big name, the fact that we didn't get the big name and we're supposed to be attached to all the big names, everyone's going to freak out about it. This isn't like a Carlos Correa situation. So I'm okay. I'm not upset. So yeah.
I mean, we got better news after the fact, but that's just.
Yeah, we did get better news, and I did say something about it. Acevedo's gone.
Yeah.
Our bullpen is awful.
It's Edwin Diaz, Brooks Raley, and a bunch of empty.
a bunch of crap. But I'm good with that because Stearns, being the pitching guy that he is, he can bring in his own guys, and Penn Murphy.
Sexy, but next year. Sexy, but next year.
He's dead. But yeah, we'll see what happens on that front. I'd love to see them get Trevor McGill after what the Brewers did with him.
Go get Stanek, go get Joe Kelly, and let's just get sexy. Let's just get sexy in the middle inning.
Kelly, Hicks, just load up the bullpen.
Hendricks. We need that insurance. We need the insurance just in case. Trumpet boy does it again. Some insurance is never just in case.
That's
you
not cover funny. It's offensive. That's not funny.
But right. I mean, yes, $6.5 million. I mean, God, Narvaez couldn't be that good of an idea. I'd just say no. Yeah. What else? I mean, nothing else really happening. Again, just a bunch of declining.
Opted into his contract.
Yeah, because he was average, and he's like, "I'll take $18 million to be average again. That works." 100 WRC plus.
Again. He's winning MVP.
Dude had 100 WRC plus, 15 homers. I mean, I'll take $18 million too, but damn,
it's more than Marte.
That's not saying much. Not saying much.
Marte's the guy you gave 4 hard years for, though.
Yeah, he's got speed. He's supposed to shoot from bases, but he's got a bad penis.
Yeah, exactly.
What else you got? I got a thing of orange chicken. I'm trying to enjoy that, but also pop on it. Like, the Mets finally good timing. I'm on lunch when you did this. Before it was when I was on break.
Well, I mean, I was editing the podcast while this thing drops. So that might delay the premiere of it. So the first segment obviously will be a little bit outdated, but we do put in some of our opinions of the whole situation with Consul and if he's more committed to the money or the Mets. Stuff like that. We talked about some other stuff on there. It's pretty fun. Yeah, we'll stay on here for about 5 more minutes, guys. Last comments, last questions. Make sure to answer the poll, like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. New podcasts every single week. We go live for breaking news such as this, which being Carlos Mendoza as the Mets' brand new manager. Our 24th in franchise history. Let's hope this is one of our last.
Nah, we're going to die eventually, so we're going to have to hire another guy.
Well, I don't want to worry about that right now. He's 43 years old. He's young. You know, he's buck.
He ain't buck.
Closer to death than debut.
I don't know. I'm just saying it's over with. Thank God. Now we can move on to players that actually matter. Bring back Brad Hand, bro. Bring him back. Elite.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, we're just kind of just sitting here waiting for. I mean, obviously we're gonna get more options. Qualifying offers should be extended on Friday. Start seeing qualifying offers, and then 17th is the deadline to accept and decline, and then we're free. We're free at last. But we'll see if anyone. We'll see if there's any more waiver claims from Mr. Did Dioka clear? By the way, we have not seen yet if Dioka cleared or not. So
it's Montez Dioka, by the way.
It's Dioka.
Right. No,
it's pulled pork shoulder. No, it's pulled pork shoulder.
Montez Dioka. Respect the mountain.
The mountain of pork.
I don't know. I have no clue.
We still haven't gotten anything. No. But yeah, so another open spot in the pen. So now we need at least 4 relievers and then 2 optionable spots because that was great last time.
Shut the fuck up. But yeah, let's see. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens with Yamamoto. His sweepstakes just began.
George Soler.
George A. Soler.
Who else?
All right. I think we'll pop off here.
Yeah, so I go eat my lunch. Actually enjoy my lunch.
Could Luis Rojas be the new bench coach for the Yankees? We'll see. All right. So for those of you who tuned in live, for those of you watching on playback, thank you guys so much. Thank you to Andrew for popping in for the last few minutes. But other than that, make sure to look out for the new podcast coming out this week. We talked about pretty much everything we've talked about so far with the Mets news of everything going on into the offseason. So make sure to check that out. Brand new video came out about less than a few days ago, I'd say. We talked about our off-season checklist for the Mets. Andrew and I doped in 8 major bullet points of what the Mets need to address this offseason to build a contender. But other than that, thank you guys for those of you who tuned in, those of you on playback. Let's go Mets. The first domino is fall. We have our new manager. Let's get to work. Plenty of work to do this offseason, and we're going to be here for all of it. So let's go Mets, and we'll see you guys next time.